Welcome to our first episode of Coastal Frequency. I'm Cindy Fowler, and today I'm talking with Gina Calderone, the innerpreneur who created Centripetal Force, located in the Belmont Shore neighborhood of Long Beach. Welcome, Gina, to Coastal Frequency. Tell our listeners about your approach to physical and energy therapy.
Hi, thank you. I'm so happy to be here. And let me tell you a little bit about Centripetal Force Studio. Centripetal Force, first of all, means a pathway to the center. So most people are wondering what that means. And I started off as a traditional physical therapist and found that I was working with 26 people a day. I didn't really feel like I was making a lot of progress with each one of them. So I decided to listen to their stories and listen to their lives. So I found that each person had a story of some kind and realized that there was a life experience that was sitting inside of their body and it was building up emotions and it needed to be released. So I just continued to study energy medicine and medical intuition and started to put the emotional body together with the physical body. So the term energy therapy is a collective term for the energy work that we do in the studio, which is Reiki, pranic healing, and craniosacral therapy. So I use those in a combination with my own personal intuition. And when people tell me their stories of their lives, I kind of look at the timeline of their body and kind of make these connections and realize where maybe their path went awry and where they got off center. And so I try to follow that path and see and try to back it up. And what's interesting is along the way, I'll find where their body did the same thing. So a lot of times people will come to me with a certain pain, but that's not the root of the pain. So when I kind of go down that path, I'm kind of rewinding and backing up and realizing that their ankle pain really started off as hip pain. And it's going along with maybe when they fell off their horse at 15, but that was the time when their father died, or whatever that experience may be. And I'm just kind of going back and cleaning up those areas of the energy field in their body, which is also pertaining to the physical body as well.
That's so interesting. Well, why do you think your approach to pain symptoms is more successful and beneficial than what people call, the traditional physical therapy?
I think I didn't know it was going to be that way, quite honestly. But when people started coming through the door, they had chronic pain. They had been everywhere. They had tried medicines, surgeries. They had been to physical therapy. They had tried alternative practices such as acupuncture. They really did everything they could. And so when they came through the door, I was like, well, I know I have to do something different. And so that's when I started studying energy medicine more and really listening to my patients. And what I had learned from teachers along the way is that a patient will always tell you what's wrong. You just have to listen. And so I can just, when I ask somebody, when did your shoulder pain start? And they're like, well, after my mom died, and grief is a heavy one. It's a heavy one that sits inside the body. And on the emotional frequency chart that I use a lot as an illustration for patients, it really shows how heavy that emotion sits in there and how it can cause so much pain. And so when people were coming in with these large amounts of heavy pain and depression, unable to sleep, I was like, we got to clear this from the body. So I just noticed that when I put my hands on them and let them talk and let them tell what I now call their body story, they release. And it was just important. And I think throughout the years, the psyche has I've understood that the psyche is held so much inside and it's processed through their mind and it churns over and over. And maybe that's what keeps them up at night. It's why they can't go to sleep. So when they finally rest, their mind is just going and going and going. And what needs to happen is their body needs to connect to that mental chatter. And that doesn't happen. You will not get that in a counseling session. You may not just get that on an energy table. It needs to all be put together. It's
Wow.
all encompassing together.
That is phenomenal. I mean, what it says to me is that the idea of holistic, that is the culmination of mind, body, and spirit, bringing those three elements together. The problem with traditional therapies is that they want to separate them. Like this is a psychological problem. Go see a psychiatrist or a psychologist. Or that's an ankle problem. Go see an ankle guy. But no,
Right.
You're bringing that together, which I think is very revolutionary, actually.
Thanks. I knew there was something there long ago. And it's also to say, though, that when someone does go to the psychiatrist, a psychologist, or they go to physical therapy, like all those things are great. So what happens is when they come to the studio, when they come to me or anybody that I work with, we get to put it all together. So all the work that they've done is like held in containers, and I just get to go like unleash it all. And it's fantastic. And I'm like, this is great. Like, it's awesome. So a lot of times people have done so much work in their journey. And so I've found that a lot of times they know their story, but they just don't understand or realize how vital it is to their physical body. Like, we don't realize that those big life events really take place and store in our body. And I've kind of also seen that physical therapy can be preventative medicine, because if we don't take care of those chronic pains in the musculoskeletal system, it can turn into illness and disease.
It's so interesting because, it's almost as though all of these people that have done so many other things and have tried every way possible. And I had myself had back problem for a couple of years, and I tried 4 or 5 things, and I felt really good that finally this is going to do it. No, it never did. And in the end, I did solve it myself. But the beauty of your situation is that you are actually benefiting from the fact that they've tried all these other things.
Yes.
And then you are now able, like you said, you've put it into containers, and now you can actually unleash it. You're like the catalyst to make it happen.
Yeah, there you go. So hence the logo, and it was like all connecting, and it was like connecting the dots was really like, it was just like these dots came in, and I just get to connect them all. And it makes for faster healing. I don't have contracts with insurance companies. So in being a cash pay facility, it's like, I knew that, to have this, have money on the side for your healing is not always, people can't always have that extra money in their pocket to take care of this in an alternative fashion. So I had to figure out, how can I do this as fast as I can?
Yes.
How can I make this healing quick and fast? And what I've learned is that the energy body heals lightning times fast in the physical body. So if we can catch these deficiencies or hyperactivities in the energy field, we can prevent disease and illness. And if we know that our parents have certain cancers or certain illnesses, that if we can kind of get into that field and take care of those personality traits that may be in there, victimhoods, it's a lot of language that's in there too, and we need to clean that up along the way. And kind of recenter that so that we can live a healthy life, and in turn our children live a healthy life too.
That's really interesting. Money is an issue for people, and just having insurance is a big deal, and people finally got insurance through Obamacare, which was awesome. But like you say, someone like yourself often are kind of you're cast out. The insurance companies don't want to work with you. But I'm thinking you told me a story about how you do sometimes get reimbursed by big organizations like Kaiser. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, the one thing I do is, if someone has a PPO, I can super bill. So since I am a healthcare practitioner, I can give them a coded bill. The patient pays me, and they can get reimbursed whatever they will for a non-contracted provider. And over the years, I've noticed that a lot of practitioners are tending to go that way because they want to give good service. I want to give my full undivided attention to my patients, and I want them to get better. And I've just realized that I've had to uh, dedicate my life to like, how can I do this quick and how can I do this as fast as possible to get them feeling better and then send them on their way back into their life and integrate into the things that they love. But yes, I've been working with Kaiser and trying to get a pilot study done. And so we can research the method that we do at the studio so that we can affect more people and reach more people out there. I get emails from all over the world asking if I know of any, center or anybody that practices the way I do. And I really don't. I've put so many different methods together. I know, like, I can put it together, and I have for people online, like, go see this person first for the energy stuff, and then go to this person for the physical stuff, and then, and make sure that it's okay with your doctor with this. And I can kind of consult and do it.
You're
but
kind of managing care in a way.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So I feel that the center that I want to build is really at the looking at the root of trauma. And that's where I've seen that most people have trauma in their lives. And that is what's holding inside of the body. And we need to rebalance that. We got to reset it. Otherwise, they are constantly being affected emotionally, and their bodies respond to that and they shut down and they can't get forward. They can't move forward. They feel stuck. And so I think that breeds a lot of addiction and cancers, chronic pain, obviously. And I think trauma is really the root, and we got to get to that. And so I've been researching a lot on trauma.
I really feel you have the ability and the potential to really build like an entire organization. In other words, I feel like you're somebody that could bring Western medicine via the insurance, because right now that's what we have is these insurance companies. If you could be the one that building this organization and be able to get these insurance companies to say, you know what, this is legitimate. We want to reimburse you just like I would reimburse Dr. XYZ or physical therapist XYZ. I mean, it's very legitimate. And I feel you're the person that could possibly, kind of start out this whole idea that yes, indeed, these what we call now alternative methods are actually very mainstream and actually work and people get better. Isn't that the whole purpose of this, right?
Well, it's true. And I think my location, I started in the Belmont Athletic Club, like 15 years ago, and talk about, like, I was right on the main street and they put me right in the front of the club, and I didn't even put a name out on the window because I was just like I didn't know at the time exactly what I was where I was quite going yet with everything. I called it my little mini research lab. And I just took every single client and patient that came through, and I was just learning and learning and learning. So 4 years ago, when I moved across the street and became like my own brand, I was like, this is what it is. And it is mainstream, that we don't have to be, I kind of joke around and say back alley. Like, we don't have to be some back alley woo-woo energy world. Like, that's not what it is. It's straightforward. And now I'm here, obviously, talking more about it. And I have more and more children coming through. I'm working with a lot more children with ADD, ADHD, and autism, and it's very energetic.
Wow.
And that kind of blew my mind as well, that, teaching them the world of energy medicine, they don't have that vocabulary. So it's like we speak two different languages. And so I'm trying to teach them the language that I speak. And the more that they understand that language, their body settles down and then they can focus. And then, and I think the parents the parents that I've been working with, they're understanding too. And so then they tend to understand who their child is. And it's, that's taking a life of its own as well. So yes, it's becoming this new healthcare paradigm that I want to advocate for. I think is my mission is changing. The job of healer is turning more to like,
it's bigger.
It's bigger
than that.
It's bigger. So I keep finding these people, and Long Beach is such a great city, as you guys know, for these spectacular healers and what they do here. And so I'm trying to case each one of them out and be like, all right, when I turn back, which I've been told by the administrators that I'm working with in Kaiser, is, do you have a team? And I feel I need an army. So
Yes.
I have them all in my back pocket, and I'm excited. And when I turn around, I hope they're all there.
Yes.
And say, it's go
They
time.
will be.
It's
They
go
will
time.
be.
I'm ready, and I'm excited about this. It's where we need to go in healthcare.
So, do you believe Kaiser could be, in terms of, traditional, and they've got the money behind them, and they've got a system, could they be the thing that brings us about, or do you need to reach out to other types of insurance company or those businesses with that kind of money to invest in that?
I along the way, I had just heard that Kaiser is interested in different alternative methods, and they will research them, and they list actually energy medicine on their website. How it really came about, though, was it was really truly all a dream. So during when I was after I had my children and I was going through my own journey of my body and figuring out my own body story, this one night I had this very detailed dream, and it had a billboard of a woman who's actually now on the front of my brochure. And she honestly worked at the front desk of the Belmont Athletic Club, and she had always aspired to be a model. And I just loved her. She just looked healthy. And I was like, hey, can you come upstairs? I need to use you. And you just need to do this like body motion, and it's confident, and look into the camera and say, I see you, like in your eyes. She nailed it. And this billboard said Centripetal Force Studio fueled by Kaiser Permanente. And I was like, that is really, really interesting. So I didn't have any connections at the time with Kaiser, and I had spoke at a PTA meeting one night. And it was really funny because I had my team. We were talking about our kids project that we do in Long Beach. And I forgot my speakers. And so I felt like I completely bombed this PTA meeting. I came home and I was bummed. And my husband's like, well, you'll never forget the speakers again. And I'm like, my computer's open, and I hear this pring, and it's on Facebook, and I look, and it's one of my friends who I didn't know her that well on Facebook, but she works for Kaiser, and her mother was president of Kaiser in one area of it. And she said, I'm not sure if you're interested in big HMO, but I really think they'd like what you're doing. And I'm like, whoa, like this was probably a year or two after seeing that dream. It was just kind of in the back of my mind. And I'm like, whoa, that's really strange. And then, but we're talking about energy, right? That's energy. And so it's been my journey as well as is getting into more of this and believing and realizing that it is all magnetic, and I have to believe it too. And I'm like, so that's 2.5 years ago. We've developed a relationship. She's pretty much held my hand, walking around to every administrator that we can find that will listen. And we're making progress. We're getting there.
You have a champion. You've met your champion.
Yeah, and she's literally holding my hand, walking around, and it's really cool. And we just keep believing and looking for the signs. And there's so many people that I want to help, and I'm excited for that. So
I think what you're doing is revolutionary, and you're the pioneer, and we are so happy to have you as our first guest of Coastal Frequency.
Thank you
so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Welcome.